Hey guys, it's Joe from Cincinnati here, and I got a couple messages and just general talk around the crab chats, community, whatever you want to call it, about how to play against Dragon. And I'm not really the best person to ask because one of my losses at Origins was to Anil, Mind's Desire, who plays Dragon. He's kind of like the mentor of Dragon, either directly or indirectly. Like, anyone who's playing Dragon is basically playing the deck he developed, and uh, they've kind of adapted to the playstyle that he popularized or invented or created or just does. I don't know if it's direct influence or if it's just kind of like passive. I see a dragon play this way because he watched Shaniel and then et cetera, et cetera. So I split. I don't know, but it's this general idea of just like, and on the surface it feels super obvious the way that dragons are playing, but for the longest time it seemed like it was not being done. Anil won the first Kotai with Dragon, and then someone else playing, I think, literally his deck, did the same thing in some other country. Bologna, Italy, I think. So those were the two Dragon Kotai wins. And, for the longest time, people were saying, like, why is Dragon not winning every Kotai? They're obviously the most powerful clan. Look at this fucking deck. But then you'd see them on stream or, being streamed, and you're just like, well, I don't know why he did that, and I don't know what that decision was. So I do think that there's been a revolution in Dragon players ever since Anil won that Kote, and ever since he's kind of been more active in talking about the game and all that. So the question is being posed: how does Crab deal with Dragon? And I don't have a great answer for you right now, to be perfectly honest. It's just a matter of factors, and it's almost down to a granular level, like on a decision by decision basis, what you want out of your deck. So I modified my deck. Obviously, two packs have come out now. I think the third one came out yesterday. But anyway, let's just go with this. This is not hugely different from what I was doing before, but just I'm gonna play a video here. So this is just gonna be a really quick overview. But basically, the main changes are Kuniori and Kudaka are coming in. That gives me 6 more Shugenja. I went up to 3 favorable ground because Tattooed Monk or Tattooed Wanderer is insane and everywhere. I went down to 2-way the Crabs because guess what? Dragon is playing like 9 one-cost characters, 3 reprieves, fucking like Fingers of Jade for their low coster so you can't assassinate them. Uh, they're running Censure now. Like they have teched this game. So, just hoping that they fall into a way that Crab is not a great way to beat Crab right or Dragon right now. So I've dropped to 2-way the Crabs uh, for that matchup in particular, but then also just in addition, the fact that you know people are learning and more one-cost conflict characters are coming out. One-cost conflict characters are the death of Way of the Crab because it's like if it's ever open, oh, I play one Fate and now I'm protected against it for at least the rest of this phase. Or if it's during the conflict phase, I play a one coster with one Fate on it and then it's safe in the Fate phase too. So anyway, the other main tech, obviously I'm playing 2 Spreading the Darkness. I wanted to keep 2 Assassination because Assassination is so key on turn 1. People are doing a lot of turn 1 like low cost buys and then saving Fate for the big guy on turn 2. So being able to assassinate their 1 or 2 Fate Swordsmith, or their 1 or 2 Fate Shujizuki or whatever is still a big deal. And I didn't want to go over 4 honor removing events, especially when I'm running 3 Kuniori. I did remove Kasada. It hurts, but I think that Yori is just important right now because I am running 3 Cloud the Mind. Cloud the Mind is so important against Dragon because they have Sumiko, they have Neaton Master, and they have Yukuni. You need to neutralize those characters. Like, there is no question. You need to. Um, and then in addition, I'm running 3 Mountain Does Not Fall and 1 Gaijin Customs because I'm building towers too. I have 19 attachments. Obviously, 16 of them are positive attachments. And 5 of them are saves, but you get the idea. So you kind of want to protect and keep your guys standing, that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of, and that's why the favorable grounds are important. That's why Mountain is important. Gaijin Customs, you know, you want to get your important guys into conflicts, and then in addition, that just further amplifies Watch Commander and Spyglass. Adding 3 Cloud of the Minds is actually really good for Talisman, because Talisman is kind of like the third priority behind Spyglass and Reprieve, and then Watch Commander is there too. So really, I mean, like, when almost half of your deck is insanely impactful attachments, they're going to have to live with some of them. And adding 3 Cloud the Mines, we previously did not have any clouds, so they're able to just target the Reprieves, Spyglasses, Talismans, and Watch Commanders. Anyway, so that's the quick overview of the deck list. I can post the link in the description. It's not a huge change, like I said. It's just kind of like varying degrees of changes. And I know this Dynasty deck looks expensive, but you know, you just got a deal. So now let's go and watch an episode of playing the game. So this is from my league, and it's against Dragon Crab. You can see here, let's see. So I had, going a little too fast here. I had Shuichi, Kudaka, a Keeper Initiate, and a Kaio Envoy. I love Keeper Initiates at all times. I love Kaio Envoys at all times. I'm not really looking to buy an expensive person on turn 1, generally speaking, because you get like 8 fate. That's going to take up 75% of your fate. Then you have like 1 or 2 fate to go into the conflict phase. I'd rather, you know, keep it light. So I mulligan Kudaka and Shuichi, and I get a natural Kurata and Satoshi. Now, normally I'm looking for Satoshi in general because I want to find Kurata, especially against Dragon. That's one thing is, you know, these two obviously I keep because I just love Kaio Envoys and Keeper Initiates. But normally I'm looking for Satoshi so that I can get Kurata, but when you get a natural Kurata, you don't even need Satoshi anymore if you don't want to. You can see here, this is a pretty expensive starting hand. So I just mulligan those 3, keep a rebuild, I get away the crab and an ornate fan, and then another rebuild. So he's first. He flips the Nitin Master, Nitin Master, Togashi Initiate, Togashi Mendicant, and Agasha Swordsmith. He says, natural Kurata, sad face. I know, right? I'm so good at this game. And you can tell this guy is a disciple of Anil because he uses the big brain description thing. That's definitely an Anil thing. So he starts with a Mendicant, makes sense. He doesn't want to get stuff away the crabs. I get an Envoy, and then he plays a Swordsmith with 1. Now he probably assumed I was going to buy Satoshi. Like that's probably what he was doing. So he thought he could get the passing fate and go in with 4 fate. I still would have put 2 fate on this Swordsmith. I mean, it's tough because I have Kurata. So even if he reprieved it or Finger Jaded it, I can just take that and then assassinate him or whatever. So that's a tough call. But 1 fate on a Swordsmith is it's a risky thing because that guy's going to get you so much value. You kind of want to keep him around for as long as you can keep him. But anyway, I pass after I take the Kaio Envoy. I have 8 fate. I kind of assumed, like, I'll probably lose a province here. But it's not a huge deal to lose a province on turn 1. Especially when I'm going to go in the next fate phase with, like, 16 fate or something like that. Now, he's the first player, and he plays a Harun the Skirmisher. It's annoying because he actually plays it during the draw phase. So... but that doesn't matter. So he's just going to say like he's going to covert my Kaio Envoy, and then go for the Kurata District. I have 2 rebuilds, so I'm not like extraordinarily upset about the idea. Oh, by the way, that was one other thing. My opening hand was these 4 cards. I was like, I'm going to bid 5, and I need to get a conflict character. So I draw 5, and of course I don't get a conflict character. That's just so classic, silly nonsense. But anyway, he does a military water ring. Now, I was thinking like, if he Like, so here, my thought process was obviously I can't defend because he coverted my Kaio Envoy. So my next thought was like, all right, if he plays like a Spreading the Darkness, then I can just Way the Crab. At least I think I can. I've never actually tested that. Spreading the Darkness. What is the text on Spreading the Darkness? Let's see here. It says here, lose 2 honor, choose a participating character you control. Until the end of the conflict, that character gets +4 military and cannot be targeted by opponent's card abilities. Way the Crab says, sacrifice a character, choose an opponent that player must sacrifice a character. So I think that's the same ruling in that the character's not being targeted. Spreading the Darkness does not prevent the affected character from being sacrificed. Okay, yeah, so I figure like Way the Crab would be a good answer if he did like Spreading the Darkness or something like that. And I was prepared to do that because this guy's gonna get bad anyway. So I'm a fucking idiot, and after I looked up that Spreading the Darkness versus Way the Crab ruling, I just continued on and commented on the rest of this video, but I didn't remove the 5 rings DB overlay. So it was just commentary on a blank 5 rings DB overlay page. So I'm gonna recomment. I'm gonna recomment on this game. It's an hour long. I'm gonna recomment on it. So anyway, yeah, I don't Way the Crab because I was waiting for the Spreading the Darkness, but he didn't have it, so he just ends up winning and bowing my Kaio Envoy. No break, but I still lost an honor, so I'm at 9 honor. And I don't have any conflict characters because my deck did not hand me any conflict characters in the top 9 cards. So I just pass my conflict. And then he just does a big conflict of his 2 guys, which is totally fine. I think he does Earth. Yeah, so he does Earth, and he's going into Meditations. I just Meditations his Swordsmith, and he has a fan. This better be recording, right? This is recording, right? All right, good. Yeah, so it's 3-0. I just pass. I Meditations, and he plays a fan. Now, there I really could have taken the fan and put it on Kaio Envoy, but Karada District is really interesting because I'll actually not use it in multiple rounds when I have it on the board. Because, especially in cases like an Ornate Fan, because I don't want to take that Ornate Fan and then he plays a Reprieve, or he plays a Finger of Jade, or whatever, you know, and saves this guy from an assassination attempt and everything like that. So I did not want to open myself up to the Karada District being used and then him being able to break it because it's used. So right now I was able to prevent the break without using Karada District, so I chose to do that. So I used the Court Games to dishonor his Mendicant. So it's 5-0 after he uses his Stronghold. So that's when I assassinate the Swordsmith. Now, you know, it's a good play. If I had taken the fan, maybe I could have just saved the assassination, but I didn't want to risk him having another fan or him having something else. I don't know. So I was able to clear his board. So I'm entering this next round with 9 Fate, so it's going to be 16 Fate, and we both have no board. So I was thinking, like, I'll buy Satoshi and then whatever small character I flop up. And then I flip Yori, which is good because Yori is a fantastic character, but I was kind of hoping for some small characters. Because I do have a Way of the Crab in hand, you know, I would like to be able to use it. But I'm able to buy both these guys. I knew he was going to buy the Need to Master, so I could still get passing Fate. So I'm up on Fate. We're tied on Honor. So here we go. I bid 3. Now, I was at 6 Honor before. The reason I bid 3 is because, for one, I didn't want to risk him like doing a dive down to 1, and then I bid 5, and I'm at what is that, 2 honor, and then I'm in immediate danger zone. You know, he dishonors a guy, then gets rid of him, or he gets an unopposed heir, or Secret Kami is an whatever, and then I just lose the game. I did not want that to happen. So what I decided to do was just bid 3. I would have bid 1. I probably should have bid 1 because he has Restoration of Balance somewhere up in here. But I wanted to get some conflict characters. Now, unfortunately, I did not get any conflict characters still in the top 12 cards of my deck. Top 11 cards, yeah, 13 cards of my deck. So, yeah, so that's all fine. I was thinking about using a Spyglass here, but then I decided, like, I'm not going to even attack my first conflict anyway, so there's no reason to force it. But then he makes a mistake. So he moves the Fate here from the Earth Ring to the Fire Ring. Now, I think he said later that he did this because he thought he was first player, so he thought he was just going to get 2 Fate. But instead, I'm first player. So now my focus shifts. And this is when I really regret not bidding 3, because now I have fucking 11 cards in hand rather than like 9 cards in hand. So now I have to actually play some cards before I attack, because the worst thing is running into Restoration of Balance with 11 cards in your hand. You lose 7 of them. Yeah. And then you just, like, basically fucking lose the game. Like, you just outright lose the game. So, luckily I had 3 Fate, I had a bunch of attachments, and I just attach a bunch of shit to Yori. Like 2 fans, a Spyglass, a Finger of Jade. And the weird thing is, like, Shameful Display, I have a Finger of Jade for it. Manicure Garden, I'm happy if I hit it. Feast or Famine, I have Favorable Grounds, just leave. So really the only thing I was worried about hitting was Restoration of Balance. And you can tell based on the build-up that I did in fact fucking hit Restoration of Balance. So here's a trick when you're playing against Restoration of Balance with Spyglasses is, you know, I passed my first ability to use Spyglass because I knew that he wanted to get Secret Fate. So he got the Secret Fate. I passed again because I knew he wanted a Restoration of Balance. So once he Restoration of Balance me, then I used the Spyglass. So because the reason I did that was because I wanted to end the Restoration of Balance initiation with 5 cards rather than 4. Now, if I had known that the card that I was going to draw was going to be my 3rd Court Games in the first, like, you know, 15 cards of my deck, then I would have probably discarded a Court Games instead of a Rebuild, because I discarded a Rebuild, Assassination, and Reprieve. I was already relatively low in honor. I you know, not really, but you know, I had 8 honor. I was going to use Yori, so it was going to put me at 7. I didn't think I was going to use Assassination again this game, so I didn't mind discarding that. Reprieve, these guys are going to stay around for a while, and Dragon doesn't have any natural kill, so I wasn't worried about reprieving guys for the next turn or 2 or 3. And then the Rebuild, I already had a Rebuild. I had a Way the Crab. I probably should have done the Way the Crab, because it's not going to do me any good right now. But, you know, you live and you learn. So I have 2 Court Games, 3rd Court Games of the game, which is frustrating. But anyway, he defends with his Nita Master, and I Court Games him because I want to dishonor him. And he censures the Court Games, which I think is an odd choice. I don't, you know, I guess he just didn't. I was gonna Fire Ring him anyway, so it's not like Nita Master was gonna get out without being dishonored. So, yeah, I don't know why I did that, but anyway, I don't know why he did that. I should say why he censored the Court Games, but anyway, I guess so that I couldn't honor Satoshi or dishonor the little fucker there. I don't know, but he chose to censor it, which allowed me to, you know, we'll get rid of one of his censures, I suppose. God, I wish I had some water. Ooh. Asking you shall receive. So, he plays a monk on this guy, and I did not immediately steal it. Don't ask me why I didn't immediately steal it, because I don't know. But I didn't. And he coverts the guy, and I immediately Favorable Grounds in Satoshi because he hit Shameful Display. I think my reasoning was like, I have no intention of defending this anyway, because Mountain Does Not Fall when your first player is just not great. But when he hits Shameful Display, it's like, alright, well now I want to defend it because I want to honor Satoshi. So, at first, he's winning 4-4, so I just, I think I just boxed to start with. I was hoping that he would, like, play an Ancient Master or something like that that I could then Shameful Display. Maybe just like, bait him into a mistake. But he didn't, so I Mountain. And here's the thing, is like, he censured a Court Games, right? And then I play a Mountain. It just seems like he censured a really low impact card relative to what I am capable of doing. And then I win, and I'm not standing, and then I take the Monk. So I figure he's going to stand his dude again, so I want to covert around him. And of course he does. But that's fine. So now I can just covert him and then attack. And now I'm in a situation where it's like the only thing I care about is Feast or Famine. So I hit the worst case scenario my first attack. What are the odds that I hit the worst case scenario my second attack in a row? You know what I mean? So anyway, so he does ready his guy, but I'm still going to covert around him. And then he let goes his own Monk, which, as far as let goes go, I guess it's probably the best case scenario. And then he plays his own second Monk. Now, he asked me for some feedback, and I hope that he watches this when I upload it. He really didn't need to attach that Monk there. The reason that I was considering not attacking, you know what I mean? Like, I had the Mountain, so he's going to be ready at the end of the second conflict I defend with him. He has this guy, so there's a chance that I run to Shameful Display, and then I, reset our honor tokens. I could hit Feast or Famine. So there's a chance that I was not going to attack. When he played that Tattooed Wanderer, I'm definitely attacking. So you really shouldn't give your opponent more information than they need to have at any given time. And by playing that second Monk, he told me what the right choice was. And now, luckily, I was going to do it anyway. As you could see, I was gearing up to attack anyway, or at least in my mind I was. But if I were a more conservative player, maybe I pass my conflict because I'm a crab. I play defensively. I want to defend. I played the Mountain. Why not use the Mountain's ability? You know what I mean? If he had just not played that Mountain or that Monk, maybe I passed, and then he plays the Monk, and then he attacks, and I can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? So, just an advice to him, and just a general advice of just don't give your opponent more information than they need at any given time, because that Monk serves no purpose during this conflict, because I don't have covert. And then, of course, I fucking hit Feast or Famine. And on the one side, it's okay because he doesn't get Seeker of Fire twice, but that's just one fate. I mean, like, if I hit Shameful Display, I get a bow out of an E10 Master at the worst case, or he honors this dude, but I can then probably still win because I have a Court Games. This is military. Never mind. Forget that. But it's still a relatively good chance of me at least doing something of value. Manicured Garden obviously is the best case scenario. So I hit Feast or Famine. That was a huge bummer. So I'm forced to rebuild my favorable grounds and then scurry home like a little bitch. Like, this is what I hate about Feast or Famine, is that it creates environments where, like, what other card in the game makes me choose to not break their fucking their province? It's just dumb as fuck. Like, there are cards like Upholding Authority where it's like, oh man, breaking that province hurt me. Like, or Art of War is like, man, breaking that province, they got 3 cards, that sucks. But Feast or Famine, it ends games if you break it. Like, in that game, I would have lost a Satoshi, and he would have kept that Monk. Like, come on. Like, that shit's ridiculous. And then, if he was able to, maybe he had another let go. You could let go this Finger of Jade, and then he'd get rid of Yori. Like, that is just bullshit. Bullshit. It's just complete and utter bullshit. And I don't mean to rail on this guy. Like, he just done nothing wrong. He's playing his deck very well, and he's playing the deck the way that it's meant to be played. But just the idea of that card is just so fucking dumb. And it made me use my favorable ground, or it made me use a rebuild on favorable ground, which now I kind of blazed through it. But yeah, I blazed through it. But what he did was this is still recording, right? Okay, good. He coverted past my standing guy, and then I was like, okay, well, I had 2 rings to his 1 ring, so I was going to win favor, and then he played an Ancient Master for a Fate, and that's something that Anil has been talking about doing with Ancient Master, like basically like pay a Fate to gain the favor, you know. And I like the idea, but it's just a shame because one of their like I feel like one of the tenets of their design in the core set was that conflict characters should have 0 glory, or maybe 1. I don't even know if there's one with 1 glory in the core set. I think that was like Haruma Skirmisher was the first conflict character to have 1, and then they came out with like Kachiko, who has 3 glory, but she's also a 5-cost character. A 1 Fate conflict character with 2 glory just seems dumb. But if that's how he wants to use his cards, I don't blame him. I think it's a good play, especially when you're running Censures and Sumiko. But yeah, that's what happened. Is he attacked, broke Meditations, removed Karada District, and then I had 4 glory standing. He had 3 glory standing, and then he played an Ancient Master to gain the favor. So that's what happened at the end of that round. I draw 3 again because, like I said, I need conflict characters. I need a board state. Like, big guys are great when they're complemented by little guys. And more to the point, just the idea. I was considering bidding 5 as well, but I was at 6 honor, and like I said, I didn't want to risk the getting blown out. So I didn't want to bid 1 because then if he bid 5, he'd be at 11 cards, and I'd be at 2 cards. I needed to draw cards, but I didn't want to draw 5 because of that risk of going down to 1, because he could have done it if he wanted to. He could have really put me in some serious shit if he wanted to. But I bid 3, I get a Watch Commander, a Way of the Crab, and a Spyglass. Way of the Crab's doing nothing for me because my low cost has not shown up at all this game. But, what are you going to do? What's going on here now? He clouds Yori, which is a shame. And then he let go Spyglass, which is a shame. But neither is unsurprising, you know. I think that Dragon's running 3 clouds as well, so 3 clouds is good. So he's going back in a Shameful Display. Because he wants to break it, obviously. I defend with Shuichi, and I just, I play a Watch Commander first, because I wanted to stop any of his cards coming down to force the break. He's up 2 right now. I had Shameful Display to play. You know, and I do it, but he had a Pathfinder's Blade. Did he just play that Pathfinder's Blade? No, he had it the entire time. So, yeah, I think that this thing was always going to break, but luckily he's winning 2, up 2, and then I play a Mountain, and he censures it, which is a shame. Oh, also, something I meant to mention last time that I mentioned the first time I did this commentary. Last round, he censured that Court Games, but then it allowed a Mountain Does Not Fall and a Rebuild to come in, and that Rebuild directly, basically kept Satoshi on the board and removed his little Togashi Initiate. So like that kind of flip is very impactful because he could have kept a 1/1, potentially 3/3 once he attacks, and I would have lost a 4/6, all for a province. Like if he had kept that censure for either the Mountain, which would have bowed Shuichi, or the Favorable Ground, which would have removed Satoshi. Like those are the 2 things that could have happened with that censure, and he chose to just stop a Dishonor token. So just anyone who's watching, just remember there are bigger priorities. Like don't get too cancel happy, especially in the context of things like that. I don't know why I'm helping you guys, but it's just something to keep in mind. And then he plays an Ancient Master to get into breaking range. I have 2 cards, I can't do anything about it, so I just Favorable Grounds home. um, which is essentially the same as the Mount Does Not Fall in this scenario. And then he sends home his own master, his ancient master. So he's breaking 6-0. You know, him favorable grounding his ancient master home is fine. It's not really like a really big deal play. It's just a little irritating. And he stands his Nita master for like maybe the 4th time, 5th time, maybe something like that. It's gotten to the point where it's like you just assume that Dragon has 2 weapons every single round when they have Nita master on the board, because they do. You don't have to assume it; they just do. So now I'm attacking, and like the odds of hitting Restoration of Balance on your first is like 1 out of 4, right? And I did that. And then hitting Feast or Famine on your second conflict is 1 out of 3. So that's like, what is that? Is that a 1 out of 4 times 3? 1 out of 12 chance? Is that right? Of hitting those 2 in order. So I was like, alright, the odds of hitting Restoration and then Feast or Famine and then Shameful Display is 1 out of 24 or something like that. So I was like, eventually the odds are going to have to fall in my favor. So I attack, and I do Void. I do Void to not only protect Satoshi, but also threaten to remove this Niten Master. And I end up deciding to attack with Satoshi. The reason I chose to attack with Satoshi is because he would have to double defend to even threaten the not breaking, and then you have to use cards to continue to threaten not to break it. And then I have a court game, so I could always just court games and he'd lose 1 more strength. So I was feeling pretty good that I could break it even with 6. I could have attacked with Yori, but Yori has a Finger of Jade, and I wanted to make sure that he can't covert and win this conflict on defense because he's got a political left. I wanted to use Yori for defense. If I attacked with Yori, then he could have just coverted Satoshi, and then I have a Satoshi military 4 as my second conflict. And I wanted to be able to attack with Shuichi, because that meant I would have gotten like a Spyglass trigger, which I would have gotten anyway, but then I would have been able to covert past like one of these 2 guys. He had 6 cards in his hand, and he had played like 5 weapons by now. I was like, what are the chances he has 6 weapons in hand? So I felt pretty confident that I could just covert past one of these guys for my second attack, assuming they were standing or ready. So I was able to get that 3rd break and maybe break Shameful for free. That was my thought. So I attack with Satoshi instead of Yori, which I still think, even watching it now, that's the right decision. He defends, Trumpet Defense. It's Manicured Gardens, I break it, I win. It felt good. Finally, something's going my way. I void the Niten Master because I want him to go on, obviously. And then he coverts Yori, which I Finger of Jade, and then I defend. And it's defend the wall, so I just pass because I'm winning. Feels pretty good. And then he plays, so here he goes. He plays the Pathfinder's Blade, so it's like, okay, he had the 6th weapon. Does he have the 7th? Because my thinking here is like, he either has, this sounds ridiculous. He either has another weapon, and that's why he's playing this one, because he knows he can ready his Niten Master after this, or he doesn't have another weapon, and he's just using it because he wanted to prevent this Fire Ring from happening, and honoring Shuichi, etc., etc. And he knew that the Niten Master was going away at the end of the round. That second option's not likely, because they have like 9 weapons in their deck, so they definitely should have the 7th one. Let's see, am I making that up? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's his 6th weapon. I keep flashing the discard pile. Maybe I should slow it down. So he's currently holding 3 weapons. And then he played 1. Huh. I'll go figure. I feel like he's been in every single fucking conflict. So yeah, okay, so he's gotten 4 weapons. I thought it was at least 5. Ah, man, that's crazy. Alright, so he's seeing 4 weapons. Use Defend the Wall, and Pathfinder's Blade removes it. Yes, that's 4 weapons. I even prepped the saying, this is just a crazy number of weapons, because I know he's going to ready this guy. And he does. He's got a fine katana. So, yeah. Now it's to the point where it's like, okay, Shuichi actually doesn't serve a purpose here anymore, because if I covert, like I can't covert him, so that's already off the table because he's got this monk. So it's gonna be him versus me. If I attack Feast or Famine, then I just lose one of my guys, and he gets to keep this Ancient Master, or the he'd keep the Neat Master. So I can't do that. Or I can attack Shameful Display, and once I attack Shameful Display, it'll be my 3 to his like a bunch, and then he gets to honor his guy back to neutral, and I lose. And then Shuichi becomes a 1/1. So I couldn't do that either. So I just have to pass. The good news is that since I pass, it's his 2 glory to my 2 glory. I have 2 rings to his 1. So I actually have to. I actually win the favor this round, and he plays a reprieve on his Neat Master because, of course, he does. And then he plays another Ancient Master. So he plays the Ancient Master to get favor again. He says he's really, really hoping for a Sumiko this turn. So, here we go. He flips Sumiko, of course he did. A Neat Master and a Doom Shugenja. So my first action was to buy Shrewd Yasuki. His first action was to buy Sumiko with 2 Fate. Now, ordinarily, I was thinking about buying the Vanguard Warrior or this Shuichi. Am I still recording? Yeah, I am. Okay, good. That was my plan. But once he bought somebody with all his Fate, I was like, oh shit, that's really good. Now I can like deny him Fate. That's gonna be really awesome. Yeah. And none of my guys are actually leaving right now. I have this Iron Mine, so even if Satoshi is leaving now, I can save him. So if he does a Void Ring, at worst case scenario, one of my guys leaves. And worst case scenario, it's the Satoshi, because if he voids Yori, I'm going to use the Iron Mine on Yori. If he voids Shuichi, I'm going to use the Iron Mine on him. So really, I was only in danger of losing Satoshi. And plus, I'm going to bid 5 here, so there's a good chance that I can draw a reprieve anyway. So I just pass. So I gain 7 Fate, he's at 0 Fate. I bid 5, and the 5th card I draw is a Cloud the Mind, which is just a godsend. Because now I can cloud Sumiko, and that means he's probably going to attack with these 2 because he's going to expect that they both are going to be standing. If I cloud Sumiko, then that means you know, she bows, and then he gets to ready his Neat Master, whatever, if he has a sword. I don't know that he has a sword, but he's seen 5 now. So if he's seen 6, then that's fine. I can't really control that. So I play a Finger of Jade on Yori and a Watch Commander because I'm going to attack. And I was like, I don't even want to deal with his Shameful Display. I don't want to deal with him re-honoring the Neat Master and then readying him and then attacking with him, etc., etc. So I just play the Watch Commander out first so that he can't play a bunch of cards during the conflict and everything like that. And it's all good. So he doesn't even defend. He doesn't even try and use a Shameful, which is nice. And then I win, I gain the Fate from the ring, and then I get a Keeper Initiate. He had his 6th weapon. So he oh no, sorry. He didn't defend. Forget that. So yeah, he's going to attack with both his guys, just as I thought he would. I assumed that he would do that, because he wants to get his 3rd break. And if he just attacked with just Sumiko, I could easily defend that. So I defend with these 2. Now, to be honest, I don't know why I defended with that Keeper Initiate. The Shrewd Yasuki, I just wanted to get the card draw. Like I wanted to get the card draw, see what I was going to be going with into my 2nd conflict. And it was a 2nd Haruma Skirmisher, which is really nice. So now I have 3 coverts on the board. And I drew this this rebuild at some point. I don't know when. Maybe it was during my 5 bid. I think it was during my 5 bid. So that was really nice, because now I can go and get back Karada District. But for some reason I decided to defend with the Keeper Initiate. It didn't really serve any purpose. Uh, I drew my Haruma Skirmisher, and then I clouded Sumiko. So now these two are both bowed, and I play the Wayfinder to I just want to make sure that it was in fact Rally to the Cause. You assume it is, but sometimes you'll be surprised, and if it turns out to be something like in Transposition or Ancestral Grounds, then you could know that going in. And plus I had like 6 Fate, doesn't really matter to me at all. And of course he had his 6th weapon, I think it was a 3rd Pathfinder's Blade. And that's when I rebuild. And I rebuild Karada District. He didn't have the 3rd Censure, so I was able to get it through. And then I took his Covert Monk. Now, he plays a Finger of Jade on the Nita Master. So, next thing we do is I just confirm. I was pretty sure about the ruling, but I just want to confirm if I double coverted somebody with a Finger of Jade, they'd have to have 2 Fingers of Jade to cancel it. That's what I want to make sure. So I went on Discord and I asked the questions, and they all confirmed what I thought was that if you double coverted somebody, then it goes through with what you're doing. So I misclicked Satoshi, and I triggered him on accident, but it didn't really matter. It only discarded like 3 or 4 cards. So then I declare my attack. And here's something really nice. I didn't realize this at the time. This is why I was actually confirming the ruling with the guy, because I didn't want him to use his Finger of Jade thinking that he would have stopped the covert, and then it still would go through his covert. I didn't want to do that. So I just want to make sure that we were on the same page. I covert Nita Master, and then it asked me, like, choose your target for Shuichi, choose your target for this, choose your target for this. So that was really nice, because then I was able to double covert the Nita Master so that it was very obvious to him what was going on. And he even said, like, it offered him the exact same prompt. So he doesn't defend at all. I draw a card. It's a Cloud the Mind, which is nice. I could use that like 1 card earlier, because then I could have clouded the Nita Master as well before he could ready him, but it doesn't really matter. And then he plays the Tattooed Wanderer. So, okay, so yeah, this is his big mistake, was that he played a Finger of Jade on the Nita Master to defend him from the covert. He should have played the Tattooed Wanderer. And, you know, I told him that at the end of the game, and he was just like, oh, of course, like, why didn't I do that? The good news is I don't think it would have really mattered, because, you know, it would have just extended the game another round. Because what happened is, this is all his fate. So the Nita Master would have defended. He probably would have prevented the break. I don't know if he would have won. Let's see here. He's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe he would have. Maybe he would have won the conflict. I don't know. But I would have clouded him, so he wasn't going to be ready again. So then you can attack with a Swordsmith. It's not a huge deal. I would have lasted until the next round, and all he would have had was a Sumiko that's clouded, and then I would have had like this entire board basically, except for these 2. He maybe could have done a Void Ring with the Swordsmith. Maybe. But, anyway. Yeah, that's all theoretical. I don't think it would have mattered. I think I would have just won the game next round anyway, because I still had more fate than him, and, you know, we had the same number of cards, or, you know, similar number of cards, and I had Karada District again, so I was feeling like it was over at that point anyway, but it was a pretty crippling mistake that he did do this. So he plays an Ornate Fan so that he can stronghold his Tattooed Wanderer. So it's 9-4, and then I just play a Haruma Skirmisher into the conflict to make it 10-4 in breaking, and then that was game over. So anyway, that was the game. There were a couple of key mistakes, mostly committed by him. If you noticed any mistakes that I made, please comment below. I'd be interested in hearing them. But the turn 1 Karada was really helpful, obviously. Using Fingers of Jade to work around covert when I couldn't just use my own covert was really helpful. Cloud the Mind. Cloud the Mind is the defining card that is going to make this matchup better for Crab. Because right now, I would say like before Yori and Kudaka came out, the matchup was probably like 65 to 70% Dragon, and that was when you had Karate District. Like without Karate District, it's probably like an 80-20 matchup, just because they have all these towers, and they're like I said before, their deck is teched against Way of the Crab. They have 3 Reprieves, 3 Ancient Masters, 3 Tattooed Monks, 3 Censures, and then 2 or 3 Skirmishers. I forget if it's 2 or 3. It's probably 2. So they have like a solid 15 rock solid answers to Way of the Crab. And that's if their character's even exposed. Like, they could easily just not even expose them, because they have a lot of really good 1-drops and 2-drops and everything like that. So, like, Way of the Crab, I know that logic would tell you that Way of the Crab is the answer to Dragon, but it's just not. I've practiced a lot. I've played a lot of games against top dragons. Like, Anil, I may as well not have Way of the Crab in my deck against Anil. It just does not do anything. So I know that the temptation is to run 3 Way of the Crabs and try and make it your center focus in this matchup, but in my experience, it's just not helpful. It's really good against Phoenix because they're not specifically teching against that, and it's really good against like Crane and to an extent like Scorpion, Unicorn. But Dragon is just not the answer, so really don't focus the game around Way of the Crab when you're playing against Dragon. In fact, I've dropped Way of the Crab to 2 copies for that exact reason. To play 3 Cloud the Minds. Because Cloud the Mind is the card that wins against Dragon. Because, like, you have 19 attachments in this deck, the way that I built it. Before they are able to let go the Reprieves and the, Spyglasses and the Watch Commanders and Talismans at their, convenience. Now that we have Yori and Kudaka, and then we have Witch Hunter and the Wayfinders, we actually have enough Shugenja that we can really, really run Cloud the Mind to its fullest potential, and that's going to make such a big difference. In this game, I could have put it on the Nita Master, and then this big monster card is not in my way. In fact, it might have been the better choice. I just clouded Sumiko because she's going to stay around longer, and in the case that the game went longer, I didn't want him to have that character going around. But, I could have clouded this guy, I could have clouded that guy, I could have clouded both of them. Blank text boxes are a lot less scary when you're playing against Dragon, because without the text boxes, their characters are just big blobs of stats. And big blobs of stats can only participate in 1 conflict per round unless they have their text boxes. So, hopefully you learned something from this. Hopefully, it was helpful. Also, one more thing I wanted to comment on. I was been talking to a lot of crabs, especially like my friend Dan, Action Johnny, and one of the biggest concerns with Unicorn Splash is the high cost of the deck. But the way that you saw me play this game out, first turn I bought like basically nothing. I bought a Kaio Envoy and passed. I was able to prevent breaks with Assassination and him just not having all his stuff online, because a lot of decks start out pretty slow too. So I was able to just slow play that first turn, and then turn 2 I bought Yori and Satoshi, both of whom lasted the entire game. The following round I bought Shuichi, and then I had like 4 Fate to play around with, which is what my Spyglasses and my Talismans, or not Talismans, Fingers of Jade and Watch Commanders and things like that, that's what those paid for. And the following round I just went light again. I played just the Yasuki. So, I ended on 1 Fate because I played 3 conflict characters into the game, and then I played a Cloud, and I paid him for one of his monks. So the Fate, it's rough, it's difficult to play around, but if you go with that strategy of like high Fate turn, low Fate turn, high Fate turn, low Fate turn, you can really start to appreciate the value that the deck brings. Or at least I hope so. I hope this is a demonstration of not only how to play against Dragon, but just how to pilot the deck in general, with a little bit of explanation here and there as I provided. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, like the video. I don't really know what that does, but like the video. If you enjoyed the channel in general, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, all that that shit, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.